Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Tuesday of Holy Week. I'm a little behind in my weekly videos because, as everyone knows, the time and the days of Holy Week is very busy for everyone, but especially for priests and for chanters and those who serve in the church. I'm a little behind, but I wanted to make a quick video to discuss the highlights and the main elements and themes of Holy Week. This really is not the right forum to go into the more in-depth and theological elements, the theological and dogmatic importance of Holy Week. I leave that up to all of you to educate yourself, to understand what Holy Week truly is all about. In many cases, we have to figure that out for ourselves, what our relationship is with Christ as we walk with Him on His journey towards His betrayal, His passion, and His resurrection. However, I wanted to talk about a few things and a few reminders. The beginning of Holy Week, for some people, it's debatable whether Holy Week truly begins Palm Sunday evening when the church is made dark, the colors of the church uh, are made darker or purple, when we see the vestments of the priest start to change. Saturday of Lazarus into Palm Sunday, for me, is really the beginning of Holy Week because we see the full story of what Christ did with the raising of Lazarus, his triumphal entry into Jerusalem, and the celebratory manner. The most popular service for most people to attend is Palm Sunday because when all our parishioners gather and all our faithful gather, this is one day out of the entire year that they say, I have to be in church. And in all reality, we should be in church every single Sunday to the best of our ability. But Palm Sunday is a joyous occasion. It's exciting. We can't just come to church to receive a palm cross. There's a lot more to it than that. But we move into Holy Week and Holy Monday, into Holy Tuesday evening, Sunday night, of course, Palm Sunday evening, when Holy Week, when the seriousness of Holy Week really begins. But we see a constant theme in the first few days of Lent, a theme of repentance, a theme of preparedness. When we think of Christ as a bridegroom, when the bride, in the parable of the 10 virgins, we don't know when the bridegroom will come. The 10 virgins did not know when the bridegroom was entering the feast, and they had to be prepared. 5 were and 5 were not. And the 5 that were not were left out of the bridal feast because they did not have enough oil in their lamps to join the marital celebration. That parable is a teaching lesson for us, that we must always be prepared for the coming of Christ, that we must be spiritually awake, that we must be faithful, that we must be strong, and we must always anticipate the coming of Christ within our lives. As we move through Holy Week, the nostalgia starts to kick in. People have many memories and reminders of Holy Week. There's certain elements that people crave throughout the year. And if we focus only on the nostalgia of Holy Week and the memories and the reminders that we have, we can become very, very quickly distracted. And in many cases, we don't understand what Holy Week truly is for and what Holy Week is all about. Wednesday evening into Thursday, Wednesday evening we receive Holy Unction when we're anointed with the unction by the priest or by the bishop, as will our case be at St. Nicholas in West Babylon with His Grace Bishop Sebastianos. We are anointed on our forehead, on our cheeks, on our chin, on our hands. The priest says, Holy Father, physician of our souls and bodies, grant healing, remission of sins to the servant, etc., Demetrius, for healing of soul and body, etc. These are our last preparations before Pascha, that we are cleansed spiritually, that we are healed physically, that we constantly prepare ourselves in those capacities for the coming of Christ. Holy Thursday, we hear the 12 Gospels. When we first hear of Christ's last teaching to His disciples, the Last Supper, the betrayal, Christ's arrest, and ultimately His beating, his procession through Jerusalem carrying his own cross, and then when he is hung upon the cross. Friday night, Friday morning into Friday afternoon, for the removal of Christ from the cross. The icon of Christ is wrapped in a shroud, in a sheet. And when Christ is removed from the cross, we see the first procession of the epitaphio, the tapestry that depicts Christ's burial. In the Kuvuklion, the tomb of Christ, by that point, Friday afternoon would have been decorated with flowers. Friday evening, when we process with our candles and the tomb of Christ around the church or around the block, in many cases, with many of our local churches. And then Saturday morning, when we first celebrate, or when we see the first references of the resurrection, with references to the Old Testament, with the prophets saying that the Son of God, the Messiah, will arise, etc. And then we move into the midnight service with our candles and we experience the darkness. And then the one light that is the light of Christ that pierces through the darkness and then spreads throughout our entire congregation and throughout our parish as we celebrate Easter. Holy Week is a very important time. It's a somber time. We begin with the more solemn moments in the beginning, and then we progress through Holy Week and we move suddenly into the joy that is the resurrection. My prayer and my asking all of you is that you truly know what we are celebrating. If we look at an icon of the crucifixion of Christ without the glare, we see Christ on the cross, we see his mother with him, the soon-to-be myrrh-bearing women, Mary Magdalene, the mothers of the disciples, of James and John, etc. On the other side, John the theologian, St. John, St. Lochios, many believe to be the centurion, who expressed his belief that this was truly the Son of God, that Jesus Christ was the Messiah. We see sorrow, we see agony, and we see pain. We see Christ suffering. And this is the reality of Christ's humanity. At the same time, Christ, as fully God and fully man, did die and arose from the dead. So we go from this moment of pain, of suffering, of agony, into now the resurrection, where we experience joy, where we experience everlasting life within the kingdom of heaven by God's grace, that we see Adam and Eve pulled out of hell as the first people to enter into the kingdom of heaven with Jesus Christ following his resurrection. This is what we're truly celebrating. This is why we gather with our family, with our friends, when we come to church, as a church family and as a community, to truly celebrate. Pascha is not about coming to church, oh, I have to get my candle. It's not about that. I have to go on Palm Sunday, I have to get my cross. It's not only about that. We have to crack our eggs. It's not only about that. We have to leave the Anastasi service, whether you stay inside your church or whether you go out to hear Christos Anesti for the first time. And then it's not just me. Every priest is deeply saddened by the people who come only for maybe 15 minutes, perhaps out of the entire year. They receive their candle and then they run to their car to go and have a celebration with their family. At that point, it's meaningless. The celebration is a moot point. If we don't understand what we are truly celebrating, in some capacity, we have lost Christ. We are baptized, we receive communion, we believe in Jesus Christ, but to leave out the importance of the feast is a great loss and it's a great pain. I hope that we all can celebrate and truly understand how God has touched our lives, how Holy Week is the most special time of year, that we can be strengthened by Christ, that we can be strengthened by each other. I wish you a Kalo Pascha, a beautiful Easter with God's blessings and constant mercy. God bless you.